We're live.
Namaste.
Namaste, everyone.
Please include the head.
You see her fine.
All right.
The head. Oh my God.
Welcome, welcome. It's good to see you all and see some new ones. I'm happy always to see some new ones. Yes.
He's so happy.
There you are. All right.
Oh, Bodhi Das, good. You're with us
Namaste.
today.
Namaste. All right, so this is Caroline, and she's here because she's got a message, and we couldn't work out the camera thing. So she's our intro for today. She's going to talk a little bit about the Women's Circle. Am I correct?
Sister Circle.
Sister Circle.
Yeah.
There we go. Hang on while she makes it live.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So we have some announcement from the sister circles who are a part of the Women in Spirituality initiative, which is basically inquiry groups for anyone that identifies as a woman, with focus on the more experiential part. And I have the pleasure of announcing that I have been coordinating the information regarding the Sister Circle so far, but now Jolene, I see you're here also. Jolene is taking over that role from me. Super exciting. And also that Sigrid, who's also here, is starting up a new format for the Sister Circles, which is a creative Sister Circle with focusing on how to communicate through creativity. So it's also an inquiry group, but more focus on creativity. And Sigrid, you can maybe post your info in the chat for anyone who wants to apply to take part in the group. Next, it was the first one yesterday, and the next one will be in 2 weeks, groups. So everyone who's interested is welcome in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline.
And how do they get access to the Sister Circle? Through the app?
Yes. So if you are interested and feel pulled to this, you can go and become a member of the Women and Spirituality group in the Mighty Networks. We can also put a link to that in the chat, so you can be directed directly to that. And you can reach out to me or Jolene or Satyamaya also, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I guess just.
Thank you, Caroline. And Jolene and Sigrid. Okay, my announcement is that we are starting a 6-day Fire and Heart 6-day retreat, which will begin next Tuesday. So it's completely online unless you happen to come to stay here in Washoe Valley, and at that point you participate with us as a group. So it's almost like being in a little mini retreat here. So if you're thinking or contemplating to do this, it's very different than the 9-day. We still have our sits, but they're only an hour and a half. And the focus is more on the Shakti. So this is one of my favorite retreats. So we're excited to bring that one forward. And I also want to say hi to everybody that I saw in Amsterdam, which was so great. And finally, here's Mira. We had fun. And to get to meet Jeanette, and let's see, Marion was the other person, and I didn't see everybody, but people that I've been seeing on screen for a year. And Patricia was there also, and also a number of other people. I'm not naming everyone, Satya, but I got you. But it was just fun and really energizing to be in person with you guys again. It's been almost 2 years. So it actually felt like something very special to make that personal connection with you all. And Ade Pretty came from Helsinki to see us also, so we had quite a few people that traveled to join us. So I'm now going to turn it over to Sat Shree for Q&A.
Okay, So we had one question. So either we're really doing our work or there's nobody interested. So I'm happy either way. It's a great question. But I wanted to speak about something of the nature of coming forward into our lives, what it takes. Because we just had people graduate from the GTP, and there's some now space, because the GTP was definitely an ordeal. And so the contraction of the structures push forwards whatever is still remaining, but also activates a greater capacity to be able to be a channel and instrument for that higher consciousness. So it comes right down to, how do we bring something into existence out of nothing? First thing, you're not going to do it by yourself. Just be clear on that. If we create out of nothing, there's one of two options. One, it's because of our psychic link with a higher possibility. Or two, our vital, emotional desire nature is determining its next area of expansion. That's just how it is. So you might say, well, why can't they work out together? Well, until you've been able to master your moods and your emotions and your personality, it's going to be the vital. It's because it has so much momentum. It has been around a long time, right? Your whole life, and it's the life force. It's not just your thoughts and feelings. They're often shaped by the moods of the vital and the shifting of the gunas. But we can't manifest without the vital. Without that life force, we can't bring truth that may come to us into the world. So this conversion of the vital requires us to be able to actually draw on a resource greater than ourselves. Now that resource doesn't even become available to us till we awaken and to become sufficiently stable in the awareness that comes with awakening. Because otherwise there's no discrimination. It's a haphazard series of psychic and vital experiences taking you this way and that way, not really just swimming in that vital psychic ocean. So it has to have enough awakening that you can access that which is the source of your awakening. There's nothing more important than that. To be able to discover the source of your own awakening, of course, is to discover that eternal, unchanging principle, which can be experienced as this calmness and this peace and this presence when we're in touch with it. When we have access to that, then that principle in us, that presence in us, can evoke this higher force in periods where we're in transition. And all we have to do is ask. We have the Supreme Being and all its manifestations are all around us all the time. All we have to do is ask. So I've discovered this quite a bit recently because I'm joining you. I'm descending into my human nature and I'm discovering its territories, and I'm learning to integrate the humanity that I am with the divinity that I am. And I'm discovering that the times when the day goes by where I get overtaken or where I get moments of defeat, and of course these are the gunas and I'm fully aware of it and my presence never leaves me, but they come up in my person and they're really true events. And in the moment of the personhood, that awareness is in the back, it's not in the forward. The only thing that has helped has been this ability to just remember the Supreme Being. And I reach up and I say, take over. And then it's done. Everything that arises is a resolving of that which I am in the personality is still a struggle with. For example, I lost something. I couldn't find it. And I went out in a large area to try to find it, and I'm recognizing that the part that lost it, that could lose, is not the one who should be searching. So I just reached up and asked the Supreme, you find it. And within about 3 minutes, in this huge wide field, there it was. I probably would have walked right past it and not even noticed it. And it's been like this now. I've been finding moments, even little moments, where did I put that whatever? Now, normally I go to Sat Shree and I say, here, this is my story. I just want to talk to you about it. And then as soon as I talk to her, I can find it. But now I evoked this principle, and I realized it wants to play with me. It wants to be with me in my life as me. So I'm giving it permission more than I had to before, because I didn't need to. It just wasn't there. So in the day-to-day, when we look to bring something into existence, or when we're overtaken and we've lost our way, there's this resource that we just have to remember to call upon. And it will empower the part of us that could call for it. The part of us that can't lose anything, therefore doesn't need to find anything. That can't lose anything, nor needs to find anything. So, it really gets down to, universal spiritual principles in the application of your day-to-day life, making it real, making it useful. Now, some of you really know how to do this. I mean, people who've been with me long enough, they discovered the trick. Otherwise, the vital nature runs everything. And you're miserable whenever the cycle comes, or the situation comes up and triggers it. Because the vital carries all the buttons, all the karma, all the consequences of our embodiment, and the karmas associated with it. We are not going to win in that battle unless we have a Krishna, unless we have a Supreme, unless we have the grace of the Divine Mother, or the World Mother, whatever it would be that inspires us, lifts us. So I wanted to bring this forward. It's kind of related to the question, and I thought that would be something to just kind of bring it back. Our life is our sadhana, but only if we've awakened and we know to access the enormous amount of grace that's surrounding us at all times. There is a path out. Take it. It is yours. So when you look to create something out of the GTP, call up something higher than selves. Now maybe sometimes it'll be me. Sometimes I'll just tell you, do that. Don't do that. But that's the advantage of this role, because I can accelerate a process that otherwise would be determined by your capacity, which may not be sufficient for what is next. So we often need this principle of the guru, the teacher, to intervene and offer us an opportunity that we ourselves couldn't take. And it's always meant to be an accelerant of your own process. So we can be willing, but if we're not knowing how to see what it is that's separating us from that possibility, then you're going to be like that guy on the rooftop where the whole area had flooded. This could be somewhere in the United States or Germany now. Standing on his roof, feared of drowning. And a boat comes up. And they say, we can rescue you. He says, no, I don't need a boat. God will save me. So it goes away. And then a helicopter comes up and comes down and wants to say, no, go away. God will save me. And then inevitably he drowns. And when he goes to the gates of heaven, I don't know if this is an analogy that has any relevance, but he goes to the gates of heaven. And he said, why are you here? He said, well, you didn't come to rescue me. He said, what do you mean? I sent you a boat and a helicopter. We're stupid. We forget that it's not about us doing it ourselves. So of course, if we had a greater purpose, then there would be something else be able to evoke that would save us from those moments where the universe is trying to show us the fact that we live in an ocean of grace all the time, but our negative attitude is veiling us from the fact that that is there, or it's possible. So, I got it. This is the job. This is the predicament. Being human's tough. And now I guess we go on to questions.
Okay, so Bodhi Das, thank you. Here we go. Dear Sat Shree, during meditation, I tend to disappear at times. It seems that this experience is connected with movement of prana around my sixth chakra. This happens only when I meditate on a reclining chair, and it seems to me that energy just gets stuck at this point. Hence, I disconnect from my embodiment. I wonder, and how far one should be aware of samskaras being dissolved. Is it preferable to keep witness consciousness
Whoops.
following the process of purification as prana moves through the body, or is it better to become unconscious, allowing the energy to do its work, or to let the samskaras be worked out by being associated, witnessing some story in the subtle dimension? Love Bodhi Das. Okay.
So I'm going to, Bodhidharma, it's a great question. You covered a whole range of things. The thing that I want to cover is the last thing you said, is witnessing a bunch of things happening in the subtle plane while you're in that zoned out place, right? Where it's like dreams, but it's the subtle universes. In fact, they exist. There are whole domains, universes that have been created without a body. And they have principles that are going on. It's interesting, I was listening to a psychic healer that I refer people to sometimes, and she was saying that she was describing something in her own terms, in her own language, what I have been experiencing. And I realized, oh, that's why when I enter in those domains, and although very enchanting and very interesting, I come back and feel like nothing has happened. Because for them, nothing is happening. They're simply in the subtle mental or the subtle vital or the subtle psychic, and they're not grounded. They have not embodied. Therefore, there's no evolution. There's no process. There's processing, but there's no processing that has a conclusion, because that only happens in space and time. So, and you don't have space and time unless you're in a body. So it got real clear to me, because in my first awakening, I went into that place that I resided, which was infinite, unchanging physical space, literally the outer space, where I was viewing the galaxies unfolding in like time-lapse sequence, where I watched them form, I watched them move, and yet I was timeless, watching time from a vast distance. And I was so happy, so fulfilled, and it never left. It's still with me now. But nothing happens there. No evolution occurs there. Creation doesn't happen, so it's endless. But even within that endlessness, there is an inclination of the soul to be cast out or to be pulled to other universes. And so they play in these other domains. And they have drama and trauma and all the emotions and the feelings we human beings have, but they're not. They're all energetic. They're psychic events, and they don't have the kind of impact our emotions and our feelings have, because they're part of our biological embodiment. So there's this tanglement of false experience. That means experience that does not evolve. And this was part of both the manifestation of the original intent and also the consequences of it embodying, and then people passing away and carrying that into the subtle worlds. That's why I say human beings on this planet give a grounding for all the universes that exist, that when you're sitting in your samadhi and you're aware, you're watching and experiencing and sensing. Nothing happens in those domains. They're just events. They may or may not give you information about yourself. And if you're inclined, if you're psychically open or unwittingly open, you may pick up a few of them along the way, and suddenly you have a mood that you never knew you had. Your arm starts flapping instead of working like a normal arm. You start functioning in different ways without recognizing you've actually tapped into your psychic body, into something that you let in. So it's also true. But nothing evolves, and that's why when these beings come, they also go, because they can't land. And the fact that we have the body, we're the ultimate authority about who comes and who goes. We set the boundary. We're actually free of any outside of influence as long as we're fully grounded. But when we awake, we open up to these subtle story planes, and unwittingly we assign value and importance to them. And of course, those planes love it because they get our attention, and our attention has a power because we're in a body. And it draws these beings to us. So that's the menagerie of that subtle world that you go into. It does not matter. It is not directly relevant. It's interesting and entertaining. It gives information and gives perspective because you're traveling to different parts and zones. I remember when this first happened to me, I entered into a domain of beings that reside in the moon, the physical moon. Actually, I traveled in my subtle body to the physical moon, and there were these just beautiful gardens, Mediterranean-like places, and people were in the heavens living there. And I thought, how does that work? How can you have a physical moon and this? And this is the domain of like Sattvic happiness. It is what the heavens are. And they're in the vicinity of the moon. There was just something that has them clustered. There's one in Earth. I know there's one in the middle of the Earth, and there's one in the sun. The moon children and the sun children. I know. I am answering questions.
Have you answered the
but
question?
I have one question, so I'm really going to milk it.
We'll be here a while.
So let me play here. And so I recognized, though, I carried with me a tremendous amount of power, and it enlivened that whole domain when I was there. And when I left, it went back to its ruminations and its dimness and its the small piece of power that's accessible to them only through their psychic bodies. So it was an introduction to those things. So when I heard this, and I recognized, oh, I see. We're the spiritual awakening people is a whole different set of problems because you're open to so much more than just the human psychological, and it gets mixed with your human psychological. So you have to ground. You have to know that you set the boundaries, that I'm the one here in a body, and this is interesting, I'll let you in for a while, and now you're not interesting anymore, go. No consequences, no obligation, no responsibility. But there are domains, by the way. It's all relative to how close to truth. These domains primarily exist in the near-Earth domains. These are the planes of consciousness near Earth. Once you get higher, then the true forces start becoming accessible. So this is that middle kingdom I speak of. So when you often go into samadhi states and you're relaxed enough and your body's relaxed, then your consciousness expands and starts penetrating into those domains. For most of you, especially you, Bodhidas, you don't have to worry about it because you're so damn embodied, nothing's going to get in. And, not that your consciousness has been fully embodied, but your body, personality is fully embodied, unless you let them, or it matches you in some way. And that's true for many of us, especially in the West. But this really setting the territory of our own, then you are free. And it sounds like, as you described it, your ability to witness it is available to you. For me, when I first entered it, I'd get lost in it. I would feel their emotions. I would think their thoughts. I would merge with the domain. That's the danger of the experiential awakening. You lose your boundary. And when you go into those domains, you empower it with your embodied consciousness, and they seem very tangible, very real. But when you start owning the space, they fade away into the shadows that they are, the echoes that they are, and they lose their power. So there's not much to beget from that. Now the exception is when the Sat force comes. When the Sat force comes, surrender to it. And the Sat force can come as the intensity of truth consciousness, or come as the divine Shakti mother coming in. When these forces come in, they cross the middle, they pierce through the middle kingdoms, and they come directly from the highest state that you can receive into you, your body. And these you do want to open to. These you want to allow to have their time with you. Now I know that when this happens, when these huge, strong descents happen, you may enter temporarily into these middle kingdoms before, during, or after. And all of that is fine as long as the current is being experienced by the body. If there's a movement, because then you're letting this is the exclusive self-opening of the Mother Book, to be open to the divine grace when it comes, and then to do nothing but let her do her work in your body, in the cells, in your nervous system. Sit as long as you can, at first especially, to let her have her way. And what I noticed is it started taking away my life. It started dissolving on its own course the samskaras that had organized me. So that's the other answer to your questions. We can't solve our samskaric karmas from the consciousness that is the product of them. We can only resolve them when we are able to access greater forces. And they come in as a tangible sense, either in your awareness and into your experience. So a lot of you, when you first experience, for example, the Sat force, you feel the pressure on your head or on your shoulders. But if it goes deeper, then your body seems to it stops moving. It becomes still. And it becomes, at some point, immobile when it fully manifests in you. And you're conscious, and you're feeling the force. And your body, you don't know how to move your body, because in fact, consciousness is kind of like to one side, isn't in the body giving commands. So, but you have to descend back into your body, and then you can begin to move your body. That's a sign that the Sat force is there, that it's doing its work, and you don't want to move. You want to sit silent and still and let it do its work. Be damned the world, phone calls, deadlines, be damned, all be damned. Be with that. When that comes, at first especially, that's what you want to give permission to. There comes a time when it starts backing away because it didn't work, or it went as far as it could at that one time. And then it's important that you come back out of it, that you reclaim the territory, because you'll be quite vulnerable when the big force starts withdrawing, and your consciousness then starts returning to your normal self, because your samskaras will put you into the various planes of the subtle world that are still being worked out, that were being displaced by this injection of truth consciousness. So those you could be vulnerable to. They would only become a problem is if you made that impression real by acting on it or believing it or deciding that is the truth I want to follow. That's the only time you could make a problem with it, is when you make it real. Then there is also the Shakti force, when it comes in. And of course, in my experience, I wouldn't even imagine saying no when the Shakti force comes in. You know? It pretty much captivates you and draws you, and it's like I said, it is the addiction of all addictions, that you're just waiting for it to come again, and when it comes, you just want to stay in that state. That was my experience of it. And of course, it too stripped away my life. It too, I lost interest in things, and too, I was then living for the divine. It was like a natural unfolding. In the awareness, it's less seductive. It's harder, it's harsher, it's more truth consciousness, and therefore, it's harder to be with. It's extremely uncomfortable because you're having surgery without anesthesia. If there's experiential components there, then you can be with it more easily. So what is it relevant for you in terms of this? It's again the same conversation I had at the start. When you give yourself over to a higher power, then everything that's happening to you serves. It will dissolve the samskaras, if you will learn to recognize that they're there. So you need sufficient truth consciousness to see it. And Bodhisattva, you know your samskaras. They're like your testament. It's the Bible. You know, this is that issue, and this is that issue. I want to do it myself, and I'm afraid of this, and I'm vulnerable here, and I'm angry here, and you got it down. You don't need to know any more than that. How about we burn the book? Right? Just burn the book. Fuck it. Fuck the whole thing. Just show up, be loving. Like I said, the secret to this is an embodiment, the expression of truth when you're in the body is love. Just love, serve others so they can love, empower others to know their own truth. And it'll all fade away. And yeah, they'll be there, but they're just going to be echoes, shadows that don't evolve, that don't matter. So, any more questions?
Secret. So if anyone else has a question I'd like to bring forward, just put the hand up.
And this is what's up in your life, right? The question is, this is what's happening for me. What about this that I don't know? What about this, what can I do with this? I don't do this often. I usually let you figure it out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Or not. We talked about leaping, right? What do you got to draw on the leap right now? Yeah. Who knows?
You could talk about going to India.
I can talk. I'm going to not talk. I'm just going to not talk. I'm going to let the presence and the force do it. Because I'll tell you, next 30 minutes in silence and stillness suits me perfectly. Ha, Caroline.
You have to come up here.
You have to come up like you did before.
Give me a second, though.
We have Wendy learning to become a master, a wizard of her own. There we go.
Yeah, so I have a question because I've had this experience that I see it almost like I'm in an hourglass, but it's horizontal. And what Prakriti, all the things that happens with Prakriti is in one, and there's almost like this, I don't know what the English word is, but in between, where the perception changes.
Yeah, the shift.
Yeah.
Yes.
And back there, as I experience it, is the experience of I am that.
Yes. Is that a regular experience?
I have noticed that it happens before. For me, it's like I am here.
Yeah.
But it has changed to I am that.
Good.
And it happens when, or this is the connection I have made, that when my body is very aligned, like the physical body after elementals, for example, or when I've done hatha yoga and meditation afterwards, like everything is very calm, then it's almost like a horizontal gravity towards Prakriti loosens, and I can
come back to your original nature.
Yes.
Perfect. It's exactly what's happening. It's exactly it.
Mm.
So this, when you come to I am here and I am that, there is effectively no difference. It's the same thing I'm speaking of. It's what you awaken to.
Mm.
And of course it's you, at the essential quality of you. But it is like behind the person of you, like you're the paper mache person,
Yes.
except you're bubbling and full of chemistries and emotional stories and all this stuff going on. But you're the context in which that comes into existence. So I sometimes find that even imagining myself behind myself
Yes.
helps restore that ability to pull back from whatever currently I've gotten lost in.
Mm.
So it's exactly correct. It's deepening. The key thing is that your progress is proportional to your embodiment.
Mm.
So the more you're feeling here, the more comfortable you are, the more you're in an environment that your higher vibration can organize around, the more this is happening for you.
Mm.
When you go back home, you'll be in the samskaras that you've charged in your environment and in your relationship and all that. It's going to be less accessible. You'll be more in the battlefield.
Mm.
But that coming to this place of relaxed and at ease in your body is actually something you can do through a regular but restrained meditation practice for you. If you have your twice a day meditation, for you it's going to be more than 45 minutes, whatever it is, but 2 times a day,
Mm.
where you separate from the world, there's nothing else going on. You extract yourself because of the schedule, you structure you set for yourself. You will be able to keep accessing that ability to be the I am that, the I am here. Now that you have it, it is the city.
Mm.
Usually these powers come, but they have to get established because for them to become accessible. So sometimes it's useful in the course of your day, maybe have a little alarm that goes off every half hour,
Yeah.
and the alarm says, check in.
Yeah.
You know, check in. Just keep checking in. If it's the middle of an argument with Gabriel, just a minute, I got to check in. You know, or something arises in your life, right? Time's up, I got the alarm, I got to get this. Just pretend it's on the phone. Put it on the phone so it sounds like a phone ringing. Oh, sorry, I got to get this. And then check in. Because this is how we strengthen the habit. It's a contrary habit to the everything else that runs us habit.
Yes.
So there's key. That's your secret. You got anything from Maja, that's the most precious. The deepening into the I am that, of course, happens when the samskaras keep falling away. When we quit feeding them, quit doing the same thing, quit reacting in the same way. Now we can't rigidly, consciously stop, but when it fades away, we don't bring it back. So the idea here is we collaborate with the distancing of that process. And for you, because you're the strong vital component, psychic vital in your nature, this is going to be difficult. That's where truth is going to be. It's going to be kind of like the one who draws the line. The one who says, okay, you know, Caroline, enough, stop, back off.
Yeah.
Okay, right. And it's not out there, it's all here. We're free here. And when you're fully in your body, you're totally free. What comes in, be it through news, be it other people yelling at you between traffic or someone else's projection about their concern, their money, their fear, their anxiety, oh, you don't accept any of it. Sorry, guys. I'm here in the space of me. I'm not obligated to listen to you. I'm not obligated to respond to you.
No, that's how I experience it also, that when I am there, everything happens in the space of me, but I'm not touched by it.
Yes, because
I'm not.
You are that in that moment.
Yeah.
That's fully divine, fully human in that moment.
And I also love everyone then.
So love is a huge ocean. So it always is there. The moment we come to I am that, right next to truth is this huge ocean of grace and love. So that's the key, kids. The secret of love isn't more love. The secret of love is truth. It's the chicken that lays the eggs of love. It is the source of love. Truth, when you're in truth, love comes absolutely spontaneously and naturally. And that's what keeps us going. That's what allows us to go beyond the habit of us. It is what allows us to make sacrifices that are beyond what we could make. It's the one that would have you obey the guru even when it sounds contrary to everything you think or feel, right? It's that capacity to leap. So, learn this, own it, have it yours, and give it to others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Courtney.
Courtney.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Courtney. Good to see you. I love you, Guy. I'm glad to see you come forward.
Okay, I think I spoke to you about this before. I'm always being awakened by this entity, and you told me I have to face it. And what does that look like? I've seen it in awake sleep state, and I could also barely see it with my eyes, that it's fast. Worrisome, but
All right, so you're in the process, Courtney, of separating yourself from it, but it's it's behind you. It's in the back of you, so it's hidden because you're looking out from that place. So how to be able to see that? I tell you what, I mentioned the psychic healer. I'll send you her link, and you can talk to her about that. and she'll do a reading, and she'll bring it forward, so you'll have another way of entering into it, so you can see it. But much of what you have forward is serving. You have brought forward your being. You have brought forward your love. You have brought forward your commitment. You have brought forward your longing and aspiration. So, much of the work is done. This, I believe, is an entrenched structure, not only in your ancestral karma, but in your race, that you're carrying to try to transmute. So it's a deeper work than what would ordinarily be needed. But you're linked with me. We work for the world. So this is one area. And you find it within yourself. And there comes the transmutation.
I don't know if I understand that quite well, but
I always know that some people come for the world work because my love for them is so huge. It's not my love, the Supreme's love, that you've chosen to be embodied, to be part of this. So just have faith in my words. I'll send you the link. Watch what happens.
Next up is Janet.
Janet, I see you, but you don't see me, huh? Or do you see me? He's trying
I
to.
see you. I see you.
There you go.
It gets very confusing at times. I don't.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's the mind. The thing that gets confused is the problem. Yes.
I agree. And
Are those bags I see packed up behind you?
oh my God, yeah. I'm so grateful for what you said during the first 5 or 10 minutes about manifesting,
Yeah.
because I felt like I was just kind of in this flow until the last 3 days, and then my mind just,
All the resistances come up, right?
yeah, it's just, it feels like insanity.
Yeah.
Really insanity.
Yeah, almost everything you carry is in your head. So yeah, that's why they call it mental illness.
That's what it's felt like, and I woke up this morning with it, and then when you started talking and you said that you'll say to the Supreme Being, "Help me,"
Yeah.
it all came in.
Yes.
So you were my proxy. Thank you. And now I felt grounded, so it's some miraculous. I don't know how this stuff works. I just am really grateful.
That's
that,
right. These are new waters. This is a new kind of knowing that doesn't use this so much. It uses your whole body, your whole being more. And that's what is bringing you here to our show, and that's what has you linked with me. So trust that. And these resistances are absolutely, totally, exactly how it works, because you make a decision, you take actions to the point where actually you change your life. Everything that's going to be in resistance will come up. And that's just to be experienced and not stop the action, not feed it by doubt or making a story or a justification. You just pull back from those things. But the just part is the hard part. To just pull back is the hard part. That means we have to be established enough in our aspiration, in our longing, in the fact of our own experience, evidence of our own lived experience. We have to learn to trust our own experience as evidence in order to cross these thresholds that you as a person wouldn't normally cross. There are domains beyond all of us that are still to be discovered and experienced. I assure you, there's always more. So how to know that more? Well, it'll be in any one moment, but we don't jump from one more to another more to another more, because that's rajas. Rather, we stay with the moreness that's right here, right now, where we are in this moment. That it is all here, maybe not yet fully manifest, but it's all here with me now. No need for more. Just this. More this, if there's going to be a more. Let's have it be more this, here now, this moment. And you'll guide your way through all the treacheries and all the tricks, the samskaras and the habits of our personality can throw at us. So I'm that beacon. As long as I'm in a body, I'll play that role. And there are others in the community that are beacons for each of you, and each of you are now supporting each other as being beacons for each other. But this is the labor for all of us, to make this real, to make it lived, and to be persistent in that action. All right, Janet. Anything else?
No, just yeah. The thing that comes up is keeping an eye on the beacon, and it's almost like I hope that my human self is able to maintain itself long enough to not somehow find itself. You know what I mean? Like I feel so scattered sometimes that I could take a wrong turn when I'm driving because I'm so out of my body, and boom, you know, it's like, oh my God, please just help me get there intact.
Yeah.
And then I could settle. So there's just this interesting, it's a fear, I guess.
Absolutely. That's why we don't embody. That's why we stay in our ideas and our beliefs and our psychic dreams. We don't embody. We spend so much of our time disembodied. We only rarely in the course of our evolution had a body. So most of the time we spend up there in that dream world. So, and you carry it with us into this life. So we're kind of part here, part not here. You know, for you, Janet, instead of calling up from something, you really should just ground. Send a cord to the earth and send all this confusion and doubt and craziness down. Breathe, feel your body, get into that lower chakras, feel yourself there. And that's the way to kind of quiet yourself, even if it means you pull off the road and get still for a few moments and gather yourself. You're going to have to recover this ability to be in your body in the moments where you tend to get distracted or caught up in things.
Yeah.
So living here will be a reality check in that, because it will be so much more different and so much more grounding will occur for you. But ultimately it has to be yours, and that is always will take a life, the rest of your life, for it to become established. But the thing I notice, people come to washout, they don't have to go to their life comes to them. It is, you don't have to be any place other than where you are for you to work out your samskaras. Learning to be where you are is what you will take to whatever was your place before. So, all right, dear. Thank you.
Janet, when are you coming? I don't remember.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm glad this program.
You're just over you're over at Ethan, right? Yeah, so.
All right, we will see you soon enough.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
Janet,
Bye.
see ya.
All right, anyone else? Annette, did you want to share? Ask a question? Did I say your name correctly, Annette? Yes, you. She met me briefly at the yoga school after I'd done the talk, and we didn't have much time, so I wanted to give you an opportunity. You're muted. Can't hear you. Mute, unmute. No, she can't.
Oh, there she is. So you're muted.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's still muted. She doesn't know how to unmute herself. All right.
Can you
Wendy.
send her a message, Wendy? Is there any way to do that? She just needs to unmute.
I know.
Oh, she needs to probably know how.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Can you hear us now?
No, she's looking.
It's still muted.
Yeah, she's looking how to unmute. There's a little X on the
Ask
microphone.
her to raise her hand.
Wave your hand.
Raise her hand, yeah.
On the online.
Do
Oh,
a hand raise.
there it is. Okay, you raise your hand.
Okay.
And it mutes right back up. Interesting. Now it unmutes.
All right.
Yes,
Oh, there you
we
go.
can.
We heard you. The technology gods had to be worked out. Yes, we had to do sacrifice to the technology gods in order to get our moment. So I just wanted to welcome you and in appreciation of the depth of what you brought and the readiness you are in your life to come to this possibility, and in appreciation. And of course, much of this journey is what we don't want to do, is what we don't want to be with. So it's something you have to ease into. But I just wanted to give you my welcoming and invitation to continue to follow this prompting in our relationship and with this work. And that there are wonders before you that have yet to come.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay. Whoop, there's a delay. I think I'm in an altered zone here. All right, so what we'll do is let's take the last 10 minutes together. We won't have long periods of silence for a while. Here we go. For a while. So certainly I do invite you all to join me for the 6th day. I do know that the programs we're doing from here, the Satya Mandir, are extremely effective and powerful. So please join us. All right, so be aware of your breath. Be aware of yourself in your body, in this abode, physical abode for you, for that which you are. How precious to have this union with you, right here, right now. Let us begin. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat Shree. All glory to Supreme. May truth, love, and grace manifest for you all.
Namaste.